Hi, everyone, because this will be open to all the first-year graduate students. This is the beginning of the semester first-year orientation for our MA program, and I'm recording it so everybody who couldn't make it for this time will be able to see it. I will post this on my YouTube channel so everybody can see it, and I will share the link to everybody else later on. Let me share my screen. First of all, I wanted to walk everybody through a little bit of orientation with websites or web pages that are relevant. I hope that everybody knows by now where our program's web page is. And of course, if you click on graduate, you can see all these ramifications, program overview, specializations, admission and deadlines, assistantship requirements, courses, internships, exit options. And we will go through all of that in my presentation a little bit later. Then there is the official graduate catalog of 2022-23. If you want, just ask me through the chat if you want me to copy the link for you, because it took some time until I discovered all of these. But for example, for a plan, mock plan of courses that can be taken in a program, always download this profile. And here, usually after some introduction on the second page, there is some explanation on, possible pathways, possible courses that you can take, the specializations, and so on. Moving on from the graduate program of SIUE in general, you should always follow their rules. If you are a GA graduate assistant, then look at their explanations over there, and orientation website. Later on Thursday, September 8th, they even will have Zoom meeting, and so on and so forth. Again, for the graduate school guidelines, very important information on the style that is required and accepted by SIUE. In our program, we encourage people to write in APA style, American Psychological Association, so pay attention to that. I see that lately a lot of people are taking the option of thesis, which is actually research heavier approach for ending the 2 years of graduate program. But here you can find all kinds of resources on how to start writing the thesis, and also how to submit, because there is a certain formatting, there's a certain deadline until you submit a proposal, and then you have a committee, and then you have a development of that. And usually it's semesters 3 and 4, so the fall of second year, the spring of second year, in which if you take the option, exit option, thesis or project, you have to take 6 credits, 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring, of preparing for that thesis, because you won't have the option comprehensive examination. We will discuss about all that, but I just wanted to show you the requirements, not only from our department, but the requirements from the graduate school. Always, when you are planning on what courses you want to take, here in banner, class schedule search, you can always select Applied Communication Studies, and then the semester, the course number, if you're looking for it. You will see in my presentation in a few minutes, when you go on a certain specialization, public relations, interpersonal communication, health communication, corporate and organizational, then you have to think strategically about what courses you need to take. There will be the core courses for the MA program, 500 and 501, and then you will have to take the core courses for the specific specialization that you opt for, or sometimes you can even take 2 specializations if you have the time or you strategize fall, spring, but even summer, if they are offered, you have to take certain courses to satisfy the requirements for that specialization. We'll talk more in a few minutes. But this is the site from where in advance you can see what courses will be offered. Not all the courses will be offered all semesters. So that's why you have to strategize. You don't necessarily have to take them in a certain order, but these core courses for the graduate program in general, 500 and 501, have to be taken in a certain order because it's about research methods, theories of communication and research methods. Okay, let me, I don't know, do you have any questions up to now, Shelby, Owen? No. You have seen these web pages, all of them? That's good. Well, this recording is also for people who have never had anything to do with our campus, with our university up to now, or coming from other countries. And I'm sure that for the moment, there's a lot of things to catch up with. Okay, in my presentation today, I will talk about program requirements, exit requirements, program structure, the big picture, and what it means to be a graduate student. So what are the program requirements? I guess everybody knows that a minimum of, let me close my email because that's the one that makes a lot of noise. In our program, a minimum of 33 credits, which means 11 courses in total. All the courses are 3 credits each. Only internships can be taken for 1 credit, 2 credits, or 3 credits. See the requirements for internships on our website. So a total of 11 courses. Start with that in mind and then splice everything that is important. So areas of emphasis, as I announced earlier, and I'm sure that everybody knows by now, at the master level, we have health communication, interpersonal communication, organizational communication, public relations. Of course, they're put here in alphabetical order, not necessarily in the order of any preference from the students and so on and so forth. Health communication has to be mentioned because we don't have it at the undergraduate level. Required courses, as I said, core courses for the MA in general, and these have to be taken by all graduate students, are 500 and 501. And then 3 required courses in each area of emphasis. If you are a TA in the department, teaching assistant, you have to take in the first semester ACS 560. It is required, but only for teaching assistants. Allowed credits toward program of study. You can take no more than 3 credits, 1 course at 400 level, and it's preferable that it's from our department. You need special approval from the graduate director, and we have a graduate committee also with representatives from all specializations that I advise with. 3 credits of independent study, so no more than that on the course of your studies in our MA program. 3 credits of non-ACS courses, which means if it's relevant for you, let's say you take public relations and you want necessarily a course in management or marketing or something like that. You can take a 500 level course, but only 1, again, out of the 33 credits outside of our department. Yes, special approval has to be obtained for more than 3 credits outside of our department. But it is possible that you can take, especially in the second year, so after the first 2 semesters, 3 credits of non-ACS courses at the 500 level. So as I mentioned, everything has to be decided together with the graduate program director and or the graduate committee. Okay. Exit requirements, 3 options here. Comprehensive exam. You take 11 courses in total, 33 credit hours, generally held during the 11th or 12th week of the fall and spring semester, depending when you want to graduate. Of course, you will do your comprehensive exams if you want to graduate in the winter or at the end of the fall semester. Or you can take it in the spring. Again, it's around weeks 11th or the 12th week out of the 16. There will be a written portion and oral defense. I will go into more details a little bit later on. So for that, for comprehensive exam, as you can see, you don't take extra credit. It's just a revisiting of all the important courses in the MA in general, like research methods and theories of communication, and the core courses in the specialization. For the thesis or project, so these are the second and the third exit options at the end of your master degree. 9 courses total you will have to take before that, so following 27 coursework credit hours. 6 credits for thesis or project hours you can take, 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring, if you are finishing your MA in May, for writing your proposal, conducting the study, and completing the write-up. Again, the websites that I showed you earlier become relevant if you want to do thesis or project, because there will be certain formats, certain requirements, not only from our department, but also from the graduate school itself. It can be taken over 2 semesters. The thesis credits are called ACS 599, so you have to take them 2 times, in the fall and in the spring, again, if you graduate in May. Project, it's called ACS 598. So then at the end, after you are done with putting everything together under the advisement from your committee, and I will talk about the committee just in a few minutes, and then you do proposal and then oral defense. Any questions up to now? Okay. You can interrupt, and if you have any questions while I'm talking, please let me know. Comprehensive exam option. Most of the students up to now that I have known of have gone with the comprehensive exam option, because not everybody necessarily thinks about graduating, going further into a PhD, or they don't have much interest in doing research. They want to be done with their MA program, and with that degree, maybe find a better job or have more qualifications, and so on and so forth. So for comprehensive exam, you write for 7 hours. As I said, kind of the week 11 or 12 of the semester in which you decide to take the comprehensive examination. And that is usually in the fall or the spring, not in the summer. Because you won't have, necessarily a graduate director to stay with you during the summer, or a committee to evaluate you during the summer. So in general, you write from 8:30 to 12 in the first part, take an hour break before you resume writing from 1 to 4:30, so for a total of 7 hours. Morning portion, theory and methods, again, revisiting the knowledge that you gained in ACS 500 and 501. 2 theory and 2 method questions provided, and you answer 1 of each question, so you are given some options. And you will write in a computer lab, but we will disconnect the computers from internet connection, and you will have no notes allowed for that part of the exam. Afternoon portion, area of specialization, answer 1 compulsory question in your area of specialization and choose 1 from the remaining 3 questions. So you will be given some options. You can go and ask for advice before from your former professors from the courses that you took in the specialization that you chose, and kind of ask them, hey, what kind of things should I revise? But they cannot tell you exactly what will be the questions, right? So general areas, general topics that you will have to revise from certain courses that you took. So double specialization students, as I said, calculate for yourselves if you have the core courses for MA and the core courses for a specialization, which will be 9 credits. Within the 33, and if you don't take a thesis or a project option, you can accommodate the second specialization. Many times, public relations, for example, goes hand in hand with corporate and organizational. But I've seen people opting for PR and health communication. So that is a decision that you have to make. Oral defense after this writing. So the people in your committee will evaluate, or the professors who wrote the questions for you will evaluate your answers. And then you will have an oral defense of answers in front of your committee later on under agreement with your committee. It has to be in subsequent weeks, but of course, well before the end of the semester. There are a few cases from time to time in which professors will say, hey, this student has to do a rewrite. We are not satisfied with how they approached certain topics, certain issues. The vocabulary is not rich enough. The sources that they mention over there are not enough. The style is not good. So there are from time to time possibilities for rewrites. And then it's corrected again, and then you will be hopefully admitted in the oral defense. Most of the people are admitted in the oral defense. You don't have to be afraid of that. Thesis option, you will create, design, and complete a research study of your choosing. You will work closely with an advisor throughout this process. That is why usually towards the end of the second semester, I will ask you to start thinking about, hey, what are the courses that you took? Which are the professors that you collaborated more with? You liked them, they liked you, you had a better grade in that course. So that means that you like the subject matter more. So then maybe you should ask that professor to be part of your committee. You will always put together a plan of study, POS, starting with the end of the second semester. Some people say in our department that maybe it's too soon at the end of the second semester, that maybe you didn't have enough time to evaluate which is the specialization that you really want to go with. But remember that we were talking about the fact that if you choose a thesis or project in the third semester, in the fall of the second year, you will have to choose, taking credits for thesis or project. And by the time, that means that you already have a committee in place, a chair of your committee, and then you advise with them from the very beginning, how you should go about your thesis or your project. So I always advise my students kind of in the second part of the second semester, hey, start thinking about putting together your committee. Ask them for approval if they want to be in your committee, who will be your chair. It has to be a committee made of three. I will talk about this after a few slides. And then put together your committee, put together your plan of study, submit it to me. It has to get approved. And then it's just an internal document that has to be the check between us and you that you are on the right track. So again, coming back to thesis option, you have to have an area-specific faculty member chairing your thesis or special permission from them. Try to find an advisor with expertise in the subject or method of your thesis. Do what they tell you to do. In rare occasions, we even approved a professor from outside of our department to be at least a member, if not the chair. Very rarely we approve the chair of the committee from outside of our department. The process is like this. You will develop a research proposal and defend this in front of your committee. After the committee has approved the proposal, you may go ahead with your project. You orally defend your thesis in its entirety after you followed all the indications on how to write the thesis from your advisors, but also following the rules from the graded school. Pay close attention to deadlines and remember that your committee gets 2 weeks with your thesis each time. So plan ahead, do your research where they ask you to do. I guess you will have to work in Kuali to coordinate with your advisors and with the graduate school. Your advisor should be able to tell you what schedule you should be on. Pay attention that usually when you do research and you write a thesis, if you work with human subjects, you will need that IRB, Internal Review Board, IRB approval. So you will have to go through Kuali, put the project together, ask for expedite, for example, approval if you are not doing research on sensitive populations like children or people. Yeah, well, it's not the case for us. It's not that we're working with blood or dangerous substances or something like that. So it's not a chemistry department. It's not pharmacy. It's not medicine, and so on and so forth. Okay, any questions up to here? No. For the project option, this works many times for people in public relations, but again, it has to be most of the times, if you are in connection with a company that wants you to do a project for them, it works also in corporate communication. It works also sometimes in health communication. If you have done or are doing usually an internship in the summer between the first year and the second year, and with that company that you're doing an internship, maybe you identify a possibility for you to do a project, then ask for their permission, see what are the details of writing a project, again, coordinate with your advisors, coordinate with the graduate school, and respect all the requirements from all these directions. So for project option, with your advisor, you will create, design, and complete a project of your choosing. In addition to the project's product, you will also submit a write-up. So the product could be, a plan for a PR campaign, for a corporate organization, something that is beneficial for their employees, and so on and so forth. You will work closely with an advisor throughout this process. Students must have an area-specific faculty member chairing their project or special permission from the graduate director or the committee. Try to find an advisor with expertise in the subject or method of your project. Do what they tell you to do. And the process is like this. You will develop a proposal and defend this in front of your committee. After the committee has approved the proposal, you may go ahead with your project. You orally defend your project in its entirety. Pay close attention to deadlines, and remember that your committee gets 2 weeks with your project each time. So it's kind of following the same pattern like for thesis, but this is a write-up in a different style, not academic style, but in industry style. So you will have to pay attention. And I don't know, Shelby, you took PR campaigns with me. It's in that kind of style of putting together PR campaigns culminating with an event, something like that on those lines. And that was not necessarily written in the APA style. Your advisor should be able to tell you what schedule you should be on. So that's why I said that, especially if you're thinking of going with thesis or project option, at the end of the second semester, you should have in place a committee and a plan of study. So what should you choose? Comprehensive examination, thesis, or project? This is your decision. The thesis is generally the better option if you are planning to go on for your PhD and have a burning research question you want answered. The project is generally the better option if you want something tangible to show future employers. And comps or comprehensive examinations are generally the better option if you are not planning to go on for your PhD and would rather take maximum number of courses. Now, this is a text that is put together by us in common contribution from the whole department. But please don't let yourselves be influenced by certain voices saying that, oh, you should necessarily take, I don't know what kind of specialization, I don't want to mention now, but only if you take this specialization, you can go later on in thesis and later on doing a PhD. We have had all kinds of cases. If a person decides to go with to continue with the PhD, they are not asked necessarily if they did a thesis. They're asked if they had good grades in research methods and theory, if they did some research, and by default in research methods and theory of communication, you will be asked to develop either individual or common projects with other students as a team to practice the theories and the research methods that you will learn about. So you will do some kind of IRB approval in those classes by default. So if you go through the training for IRB, that clears you up, I think, for 3 years to do research. So it's not necessarily that you go a certain pathway in the MA or finish necessarily with thesis or project, or especially with thesis, if you think about continuing immediately after or later on with the PhD. These are decisions, lifelong decisions that we all make when the time is right. Okay, this is kind of the handout. I will share with all of you the PowerPoint presentation, but this is the handout that we always give to all our graduate students, kind of summing up what I was talking about. As you can see, in all 4 specializations, the first 2 courses are ACS 500 and ACS 501. 500 is taken in the fall, 501 in the spring. We have a few students who are kind of out of sync, especially international students who don't get their visas on time, and they defer and they start their semesters, their MA in the spring. So that kind of throws them out of sync, because then they will have to start with 501 and take 500 later, or maybe take other courses so they can take in the fall of the second year 500 and 501, because usually they are in consecution, and the professor who teaches 500 is relying on the professor who teaches 501 to take over what was done in 500 and add the research methods and tools part. And then you have the 3 core courses for each specialization. For health communication is 570, 571, 572, and so on and so forth. As you can see, it's a 0, 1, 2, but different first 2 digits for each specialization. For health communication is 5.7, for interpersonal 5.2, for organizational 5.4, and for PR is 5.5, 0, 1, 2. So courses 1, 2, and 3, core courses to satisfy the requirements for that specialization that will be written on your diploma. And then at the bottom, as we discussed, second specialization courses or electives. No credit hours for comps, or 6 credit hours for thesis, or 6 credit hours for project. So take all those in consideration when you think about your total of 33. We have had some students who, I don't know, if they were international, if they didn't decide to necessarily finish with 33 credits. If you really need to take more classes, nobody will stop you. Usually we have 1-2 students per generation who take 36 or 39 credits, depending on what they want to do in their specialization. There's also situations in which some people kind of didn't have the time to finish their thesis or project, or they were doing an internship and they wanted to continue in the summer after the second year. And then there is a possibility you pay for just 1 credit hour for a third fall semester, and it's UNIV 500, University 500, that the graduate school can offer to you, so you can still have graduate student status and not take courses, but still be enrolled with us. I had a situation like that with a foreign student who wanted to graduate in December, though all her credits were taken by the summer. So she enrolled in that UNIV 500 and then did comprehensive examination, and then that was her exit option. As it's mentioned here at the bottom of the slide, courses vary in specific semesters, so plan ahead. You don't have to take them in order. Let's say in public relations, if you think, oh, this semester, this fall, it's 550, then let me take 551 in the spring, only if it is offered. 552, if it's offered, it could be in a summer, it could be in the fall, it could be in the spring. Just make sure that by the time when you graduate, you had all those courses, so you make sure that you have that specialization under your belt. How does all this work? In general, you must take ACS 500 and 501, as I said before, and 1 or 2 courses in your respective area of emphasis during the first 2 semesters. First year is critical. You decide on your exit path, comprehensive exam or thesis or project. By the 3rd semester, if desired, you may take courses outside of the department, maximum credit hours, 3 credit hours, which means 1 course. I mentioned this before. You also form your advisory committee and put the rest of your program of study together in the 2nd or 3rd semester. We've had some strong discussions in our department, but I'm of the opinion that at the end of the 2nd semester, you should have a plan of study and the committee put together so you can start the fall already with these formed, so you know your pathway. The committee reviews the plan of study and takes part in your oral defense or defenses, comprehensive exam defense, thesis project proposals, thesis or project defenses. Great caution from the graduate school website: be or better in theory and research method classes, or you will likely lose your place in the program. Pay attention, there were some cases last year when people didn't take at least the B in research methods, and that means that they are not done with that course. They have to take it again in the spring of the 2nd year. And this is kind of a probation within the department, because you see that affects your options. If you want to take a thesis option, but you didn't pass with at least with the B, the theories, the research methods class, that puts a question mark who wants to work with you if you have not proven yourself as being able to go through a course of research methods. Whenever a graduate student's grade point average falls below 3.0 out of a 4.0 scale, the status of the student will be reviewed by the Dean of Graduate Studies and Research and the student's graduate advisor. If the student is permitted to continue, the conditions for continuance will be put in writing by the student's advisor, and upon concurrence with the Dean of the Graduate Studies and Research, communicated to the student. In any case, if after 15 semester hours of work in a degree program, a student has earned 6 or more hours of C or below in 400 or 500 level courses, not balanced by A in 400 or 500 level courses, the student will be dropped and ordinarily is not again admissible to a degree program. Forming your faculty committee, advisory committee consists of 3 graduate faculty members. 2 must come from the Department of Applied Communication Studies and 1 of the 2 must serve as chair. Area-specific faculty representation is required on comms committees. Students must have an area-specific faculty member chairing their thesis unless special permission is granted. Pick faculty members you had courses with. All these things I mentioned before, you should form a relationship, because it's better later on when people want to advise you, when people are comfortable with working with you, and that works 2 ways. It depends on you too. It's sometimes a clash of personalities. So you have to pay attention to all those delicate details. How to be a good graduate student? Try to respect your professors, show up on time, attend all classes, hand in your assignments on time, and follow all guidelines. Read, seriously, read. Do not plagiarize, that is in bold, because sometimes many people fall in this pit of, oh, I did some research in a certain semester, then I want to continue that. But that's double dipping, because, you already have done something, and then you will just miss some steps by just taking your inspiration from what you have done before. Only if you explain to the professor, hey, I have done this, but up to this level, and I want to bring it to this other level in your class because it's relevant, then at least you have discussed with the faculty in charge of that class. Use proper APA style. I hope that by this time everybody knows what APA means and what are the requirements, because everybody will look into your bibliographies when you write something, and the style in which you write and quote your sources, that it has to be proper APA. And, you know, try to handle your emotions. Being a graduate student, you know, you are of many ages as graduate students. Some people already have families, have grown up kids. I don't think it's your two cases, Shelby and Owen, but I know that we have more mature students who are in the program. And it's not only that, but sometimes you have to work in collaboration with others. You have to choose your committees, to talk to professors, to talk to colleagues, and that's where emotions can have some flare-ups. How to be a good graduate student: take careful notes and keep them. I would advise you to keep books that maybe you purchased at least until the end of your graduate time, because you will need to revise, especially the specialization courses and the theories of communication and research methods courses for your thesis project, for your, especially for the comprehensive examination. So pay attention that maybe you should keep notes, but also books. Talk to your professors first if you are having problems in the class. Don't jump to, I don't know, the chair of the department, the director of graduate studies, the director of the graduate program at SIUE, if you had a misunderstanding with the professor. First, try to solve the problem with the professor, because otherwise everybody will get on defensive positions, and that's not good for everybody else. Participate in discussions, being cognizant to stay on topic, be mindful of what you say. If you have a question, ask someone who knows the answer. Pay attention to your plan of study and the requirements, register on time, realize that you are no longer an undergraduate student, so you have an elevated level of responsibility, and sometimes think about cutting the drama, okay? Things to expect, and this is my last slide. Some frustration, but also excitement, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of rewriting, and don't be baffled if a professor will give you back something that, being your baby, you thought it was perfect. But you know, sometimes you are asked to do rewriting. Research, participate in good discussions. You will have some disagreements, but that's part of the game. Mind changing, maybe you will start with an idea of your plan of study and then you will change it over and over again. Don't wait too much when you are in the second year on making up your mind, because you don't want to confuse yourself, first of all. Expect to learn a lot, expect to have computer problems, so always back up your stuff. Nowadays, people are working in the cloud, or they have Dropboxes, and then things are saved over there. It's also a problem over there. It happened to me, having in Dropbox certain documents, and then if I deleted them, they're gone forever. You cannot find them in the you know, deleted items file. Expect to work in late nights. I would advise you to, at least if you don't have a job while you're a graduate student, or even if you have a job, find either a job that is relevant for what you want to do later on, or do an internship. Don't forget that you can take 3 credits of internship. Look at the ACS number on our courses offered. Dr. Van Sleet is our director for internships. Pay attention on our Twitter account or our Facebook account. When we find out about paid or unpaid internships, we put some information over there. If you looked at our website, there's a ramification in the structure in which you can see the main ideas on the left, in the middle, the content, and on the right, it's a cursor for Facebook and Twitter. Scroll them down, see if we posted anything interesting, especially at the beginning of semesters or at the end of the semesters for the next semester, for possible internships. We have collaborators that have worked with us for many years, and from time to time, there pop up some internships that are paid. It's very important for you that if you are thinking about going into the professional world with the information and the knowledge that you can acquire in this MA, to put to practice the knowledge that you got in here. So if you are not working for a PR firm, for example, I'm talking from my standpoint, do an internship. And maybe from that internship, you come up with ideas for future employment, you come up with ideas for a thesis, you come up with ideas for a project, and then you will find even a client to work for the project. Again, any questions that you would have at this point? Everything is clear. Okay, well, I will transform this, put it on my YouTube channel and share the link with everybody else if you want to revise some of the things that have been discussed here. I stood for a while on the pages, and this is information not necessarily for you because you said that you saw all those web pages before, but for other students who didn't participate in this discussion, stop the image on the link and then you can find the links for yourselves. Well, if there's no other questions for me, I will stop sharing, I will stop recording, and I will wish you a good day.